following episode of Dave's Video Graveyard contains spoilers and naughty words. Listener discretion is advised.
Have you ever bought or rented a videotape that wasn't quite right? It may have been a pirate copy.
Ratings advice. Use it. It's on every...
We're going streaking!
Dave's Video Graveyard.
That guy in a little coat.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm not a smart man.
Shut up! One tubby.
What's wrong with him?
My first thought would be alive.
Why so serious?
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
Of all the radio shows in the world, this is definitely one of them. Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
It is Dave's Video Graveyard for your Monday night. An absolute pleasure to be with you, whatever it is you may be doing. I am your host, Dave McLennan, taking you through till 10 p.m. this evening. Now, this evening, we have to start off everything with a little bit of an extra warning this week because this evening's guest was recommended to us through a notorious or an infamous member of the DVG All-Star family. We are talking about Moisty Magic. She has vowed for tonight's guest, which you know what that means. There's a huge asterisk over the entire evening. Right now, I am joined by the ever-lovely Kat. Well, lovely for now. How are you, Kat?
I'm absolutely lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you've been recommended here by Moisty Magic.
Yes.
That's always a worry.
Never. We stalked each other for quite a while, and then she slid into my DMs and got in contact to do some training with me.
Right.
So I work as a personal trainer.
So you're teaching Moisty to be human?
I'm teaching her to grow a fat ass.
Right. Nice. Nice. I think she's doing well. She's doing well. So tell us about your personal training.
So I've been in the industry about 5 years now. My brand has definitely changed a lot over the years. And at the moment, I would say I'm very much focusing on my niche would be pole dancers and strippers largely.
Nice.
I've got a background in pole dance, so yeah, the two sort of married together, and the strength training with the pole dancing just became something that I loved combining. And given that there's not many trainers in Adelaide that do that.
And for those that don't know, pole dancing is where you do traditional Polish dancing. Is that right?
That is correct.
Nice.
It's very big in Adelaide.
How did you get into pole dancing?
That's a good question. I just decided...
Well, there should be an answer for it then.
There should. I don't know. I just... I sort of dabbled in it on and off for years, just doing sort of very short terms at different studios. And then 2 years ago... just decided like I'd missed it. And just signed up at Sky High, and they've been stuck with me since.
Nice. What is your most proud achievement on the pole?
Ooh.
What is the coolest thing you can do? Describe it for us.
My proudest achievement is not landing on my face yet.
Are you having a go at me because I look like I've fallen from heights under my face?
I'm someone who falls over flat floor, so the fact that I can not stack it in 8-inch heels, I'm kind of proud of that.
My wife makes me wear my thongs around home, and not just my G-string. She makes me wear my thongs around home because I will trip and fall on them if I don't have them attached to my feet. So I understand the pain that you go through. Now, when it comes to movies,
yep.
Give us a bit of a background. You're a movie lover?
Yes. But I'm music and movies. I am all over the place.
So tell us a bit about the music you're into.
All over the place. So, I mean,
sweet. Well, this has been the shortest episode ever.
Yeah, my playlist has everything from, you know, classical to Tool and Slayer to Ariana Grande. So, definitely, yeah, very mixed.
I've had Spotify for maybe 3 years. I don't think the top 5 have changed. And if you checked in high school, they still haven't changed, because I'm one of those sad old guys that's still like, I'll listen to this Offspring album again. Yeah, sure. And occasionally Spotify will be like, do you want to listen to this song? And I'll be like,
no.
How did you know? It's like, because every other sad uncle listens to it.
It like suggests a new song and it's like internal screaming.
Oh, the most offended I'd ever been was it went through my usual playlist and it suggested that new Radical song, that Don't Let Go, You Got the Music in. And I was like, right. Well,
now I'm deleting Spotify.
I'm uninstalling this app for sure.
Yeah.
So this evening, it is a guest choice special. We're here to find all about your 10 favourite films of all time. Give us the usual whinge. How hard was making this list?
Very hard, and it's probably changed since I sent it to you 2 days ago.
Nice. That's always a great sign. But I find it funny because I have all these movies that were like tentpole films for my childhood that I absolutely love. And then I rewatch them and I'm like, that movie's terrible. I hate this movie now. And it instantly drops off my list. Then I'll watch something else.
About The Lion King, I'm out.
No, you'll never hear a bad thing on this show about The Lion King. But then I'll watch something that I thought was terrible and I'll love something terrible about it. And I'll be like, that's in my top 10 now.
Yeah.
Tell us some of your honourable mentions before we get into this evening.
Ooh. Batman series overall.
Right. Is there a stronger episode or movie that you prefer? Who's the definitive Batman in your eyes?
Ooh.
I'll give you a hint.
For me,
it's Michael Keaton.
I was about to say, for me, it's not Batman, it's Joker. And that would be Heath Ledger.
Okay, yep. So why do you hate Jack Nicholson? What did he do to you?
I can't talk about it on radio, I'm sorry.
I had a guest come that was like, I love all the Batman series. I've even got a Joker tattoo. I'm like, oh, awesome. Let us see.
Oh, no.
I'm expecting there'll be Heath Ledger. Maybe there'll be Jack Nicholson. Big old Jared Leto. And I was like, oh, no. Really? You must have watched a different movie than I did. Congratulations.
My favourite was with Suicide Squad when it first came out. And girls were like, I want a relationship like Harley and Joker. Or the people that were like, oh, they've made like Harley so disempowered, and why have they done that? Like, she should be a strong woman. And I'm like, did you not read like a single Batman graphic novel ever?
It is so funny. So you're a comic nerd to some degree?
Yeah.
Nice. What are some favourites?
Old Man Logan.
Wow, that's I read that and then they announced Logan and I thought it was going to be the same thing. And
I was
like
terrified when they announced that. I was like, do not mess this up for me.
I couldn't imagine. But then you look at the new Spider-Man coming out. That looks like it's dabbling in that kind of thing where they've got the multiverse, getting all these characters. I'm like, well, maybe they could do Old Man Logan originally how it should be.
I didn't mind how they did it as a standalone movie. Like, if you don't take...
100%.
Yeah, if you're, like, watching it as a movie without any background to it.
I just pray that in our lifetime we get to see on the big screen Wolverine come out from inside of Hulk's stomach. That's all I need to see. And then comic books are done for me.
I want to see them do Red Sun.
That'd be really cool
because
really I'm one of those people that thinks Superman's one of the most boring characters on Earth.
Red Sun's like the only one where I was
I
like,
know.
yes, now they're on it.
I did, even though I just recently watched the animated DC movie of it, I'd really like to see them do Injustice on the big screen properly, which they never will because it's such a be-all, end-all story. But yeah, that would be amazing. I remember when they did the animated Killing Joke film.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I really didn't like it. So we've got the High Fidelity quiz. It's where we get to know about you as a movie lover. Put your money where your mouth is.
Uh-oh.
It is time. What was your local video store growing up?
I think it was Video Easy. I can't remember what the actual store was. Like, I can picture exactly.
Give us some memories then. Give us some memories.
All right, so it was in a little block of shops, which is still right down, like, Mum's still where she lived when I was a kid. So it was like walking distance, and it was so good because there was like a bakery, a pizza shop, a Chinese takeaway shop, and the video shop. So we'd just get like takeaway, a whole shit ton of cakes and movies.
Nice.
And just spend, the weekend watching movies.
That does not sound like the childhood of someone in the fitness industry, but it sounds more like my childhood, and I'm in the long distance running industry, as you can tell from looking at me.
I'm all about balance.
All right. Pretend you're 10 years old and not just mentally. What is your favorite TV show? Yeah, I know. That's why I said just mentally.
This one was really hard. I was trying to think back to what I was actually watching, and the ones that stuck out were Captain Planet.
Nice.
And Widget the World Watcher.
I genuinely, because of those two cartoons, which I also grew up on, I was so concerned that we're going to have to deal with the hole in the ozone layer, acid rain, nets that shoot out of guns, and quicksand. These were the things that worried me as a kid. And I was only talking recently, I only found out last year that Whoopi Goldberg was Gaia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know.
There you go. Now I've got like Moisty in the back of my head being like, now we just have to deal with capitalism.
10 years old, favourite ice cream?
The strawberry, when you get the Neapolitan.
Oh, wow.
Always the strawberry.
Nice and plain, but a classic nonetheless.
It's a classic, but we'd sort of like scoop all three in and then just like mix it together and make ice cream soup because health.
Ice cream soup. That is part of my 36-year bulking cycle. That's definitely one
Diet of the elite.
It is. Favorite junk food?
Anything sweet. I was a lolly snacker.
Nice.
Nothing has changed.
Lolly snacker sounds like something like a really old person would call a drug dealer.
Or it sounds like a really bad like horror movie, like the lolly snacker.
Yeah. Call the cops. There's some lolly snackers on our back block. All right. Your favorite book as a kid?
Just to add to the nerd stakes here, my school library had a like kid version of Lord of the Rings, and I feel like I checked it out, read it, returned it, checked it out pretty much every week.
Nice.
So I would say that, and then there was also a kiddie version of The Odyssey that I loved.
I don't know what that was.
I didn't hear a thing.
Cool. And 10-year-old you, your favourite toy or a favourite toy from your childhood?
I was smashing Tekken at that age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Who was your go-to?
Oh.
Was it the fat guy that looks like me?
It was normally Nina.
Nice.
Yeah.
I played, is it King that's the tiger-headed dude? Yeah, it was always King for me because his default like combo was just button mash. Like you just did and he'd instantly do like 20 roundhouse kicks.
There were so many fights like, oh, I know the combo, and it's like, you're just button mashing.
I know, that's exactly what I did.
I'm just boss at this.
I am learning my lesson though because I was the button masher kid, but I now have 3 button mashers in my house that destroy me at the likes of Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. I'm like, that's not fair. Play properly. All right. Who goes on your Mount Rushmore of actors or actresses or both?
Oh, this is another one where I was like, ugh. I feel like Denzel has to be on there.
Nice.
Judi Dench, which is a bit random in there, but
a bit boring, but yeah, keep going.
She's in some classics.
You're like, I'm a huge fan of As Time Goes By, all those ABC shows she used to be in.
Let's talk about Downton Abbey. No.
Let's do it. This evening it's a special on As Time Goes By and One Foot in the Grave. Right here.
Get your lab blankets.
It's going to be good as we talk about Yes Minister and Rumpole the Bailey here on DVG.
Yeah, I struggled with this one because I feel like there's not many actors or actresses that I like consistently. I'm like, they're in this, I have to see it.
For me, it'd be just 2 people just repeated. It'd be young Kurt Russell,
okay,
young Salma Hayek, current Salma Hayek,
really,
and current Kurt Russell. Tell me I'm wrong and you can leave.
There's no Megan Fox in there and I'm disappointed.
I just feel like I like good things, so she's not in my list.
Have you seen Megan Fox?
Yeah, but Salma over Megan any day of the week for me.
Okay.
If it had to be someone somewhat younger and current, it would be Alexandra Daddario. I don't know if you know who that is.
I feel like I know the name and I'm going, oh.
She was in the remake of Baywatch. She was in San Andreas with The Rock.
Okay.
She's fun to watch act, for lack of a better way of putting it. Okay, so
in that case, it's going to be like Michelle Rodriguez.
So you've got a big, old, boring Mount Rushmore so far.
I do.
So you got Denzel and
I
Lady...
kept looking at that question being like, I don't know. It's just going to be Megan Fox.
That's fine. Megan's up there. All right. Would you prefer to watch a movie at the cinemas or at home?
At home, 100%.
Because you don't have to wear pants?
Exactly. I was about to say no pants, all the snacks.
Yeah. If you do go to the cinema, what is your food of choice?
So the person I go with has to have popcorn that I can take.
Nice.
And then I'll normally get like the cups where you just throw in all the lollies.
Nice.
Because
a bit of a pick and mix.
Yeah.
I have to ask, and a peek behind the curtain, you do have braces.
I do.
Do you find that limits the likes of loving Skittles?
No. I'm sure it's meant to.
You found workarounds, have you? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Nice. Very nice.
I just don't tell my orthodontist.
That's like my son thinks I'll have a small can of Coke and then brush my teeth straight away. It never happened.
Totally negates it. What do you mean I can't have like the chewy lollies and caramels?
Name an actor or actress you would like to spend the night with.
Megan Fox.
To do whatever you want.
Megan Fox.
And you would be discussing capitalism? Is that how you'd spend the evening?
Definitely.
Very nice. Which film that didn't get a sequel deserves one?
None of them. I hate. I'm so salty about sequels because there's so many movies I've loved and series, and then they bring in a sequel, and I'm like, what have you done?
I get that, but you're also wrong because the best movie ever made, Terminator 2, was a sequel. In fact, as was Aliens.
Yeah, when I was reading that, I was just like, oh, but the Aliens, But I feel like with a lot of sequels, they just get to that point where they're just thrashing it too Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I've loved where I've been like, it has to have a sequel. I need to see more.
Yeah.
There's definitely been things where I'm like, they've left this open for a sequel and I hate it.
But you wouldn't have got as much Megan Fox if she wasn't in the 700 Transformers sequels.
But they got rid of her.
Yeah, true. They replaced her in 3.
This is why I'm really salty about
She was in the Turtles remake, and I'm a big Turtles guy, and that was a terrible movie. All right. Who would play you in your biopic?
Ooh. Probably someone like Zooey Deschanel.
I can definitely see that.
Yay. I'll take that.
I also have eye problems. No. And which movie freaked you out as a child? We had a bit of a discussion before we started this evening. You are a child of The Animals of Farthingwood and Watership Down.
Yes.
So you know trauma. So I'll run you through some of the big ones we get. What about Artax from The Neverending Story? Was that in there? Oh, there we go. Thomas Bennett from the B Movie, a.k.a. My Girl.
Yeah. See, I feel like that didn't hurt me as much as Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because Animals of Farthingwood definitely crossed my mind for that. And then I was like, if I want something that really traumatized me as a child, it would have to be a toss-up between Gremlins or The Exorcist.
Wow.
Which I probably shouldn't have watched.
They are not on the same level whatsoever.
But I remember as a kid watching The Exorcist, and then coincidentally, within the week, a possum got into our roof, and I remember lying in bed and hearing scratching sounds in my roof, and I'm like, this is how I die.
Wow. Which TV, I know this is also a touchy subject. Which TV or movie from your childhood would you like to see rebooted?
Probably Captain Planet.
I'd love it. Have you seen the Don Cheadle Funny or Die series? He plays an evil Captain Planet that starts turning everyone into trees. It's pretty funny.
And I feel like it would roll out really well with this generation as well.
Okay. Name one famous person other than Moisty Magic that you would like to hit with a hammer.
I'm going to go Trump.
Okay.
I feel like that's a fair one.
That's a safe bet. That's a safe answer. If you could make the entire world's population watch one film, how are you using that power? Are you evil or are you good? What are we all watching?
I'm going to go with Life is Beautiful.
Oh.
I love that movie. It should have been...
I feel like looking at... sorry to cut you off, but looking at your list, I think there's a very sappy side of you.
There
that
definitely is.
Drives a lot of your choices.
It's funny because I was going through like my top 10 and like it's like my music choices, you know. I was going, oh, do I put like Martyrs on there? Because that was like brilliant for what it was. And then I'm like, oh, but Life is Beautiful. Like, I'm like, do I want one where people are like chopped up and tortured, or do I want one where, you know, it's
and so
all the
to be
feels?
fair, you didn't choose either.
I know.
Nice.
Honorable mentions.
So we're all watching Life is Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're all crying together.
Yeah. Hey, I could have picked way more like...
At least you know that like your choice would have to be done on a Sunday afternoon, because that is such a Sunday afternoon movie.
It
if
is.
there ever was one. If you could add your favourite fictional character to any film, what would it be and who would it be?
Oh, I struggled with this one. I feel like a Batman Scott Pilgrim mashup would be epic.
I feel it. I feel like you just made that up, but I feel
I was thinking about it tonight, being like, I don't know. Like, yeah. Mashups. They're in there with sequels. I'm just like, stop ruining good things.
All right. Now, here's the quiz questions you don't know about.
Oh, God.
And this is a would you rather.
Uh-oh.
So this is to get to know all about you and whether or not we continue. Because you get too many wrong, it's time to leave. All right. Harry Potter or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Cher or Dolly Parton?
Ooh.
Dolly.
Yeah, I'll go Dolly.
Salma Hayek or Pamela Anderson?
Salma Hayek.
Yes. Lord of the Rings or Back to the Future?
Oh.
You were the first person that said that your favourite book was Lord of the Rings, so I was wondering how this would go.
Oh.
Gotta pick one.
If we're talking movies, I'll go Back to the Future.
Okay, nice. Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio?
Can I go neither?
That's fine. Shawshank Redemption or Stand By Me?
Shawshank Redemption.
Edward Scissorhands or Beetlejuice?
Edward Scissorhands, because Johnny Depp.
Predator or Terminator?
Predator.
Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone?
Schwarzenegger.
Sandra Bullock or Julia Roberts?
Julia Roberts.
You sound so certain. The Witches or Matilda?
The Witches.
Does it still scare you thinking about getting stuck in a painting? Because every time I think about The Witches, even though it's a scary movie, that's what sticks out for me.
Really?
The Lost Boys or Interview with the Vampire?
I'm going to go Interview with the Vampire because I watched that so many times growing up.
I loved it as a kid. Revisited it.
Don't you ruin this for me.
I have to. Louis is the biggest Suki bitch character in the history of film. And I remember wanting to be like the cool vampire that he was. And I watched it, I was like, clearly I should have known that the coolest character in this entire movie is Christian Slater. Because that's always the rule.
One of the girls in high school had, you know, the red dress when she's at the bottom of the well?
Yes.
She had that custom made for formal.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember her like hating it the whole night because she had the full corset and everything underneath. She's like, I can't breathe. My dress is too big. Like I can't do anything.
And also because she turned to ash and just floated away at the end of the evening.
Which was a relief after all, like complaining.
You're like, take that. All that money for a wasted dress. Batman or Spider-Man?
Batman.
Good answer. Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler?
I guess Will Ferrell. I'm not big on either of them, but I'll go Will Ferrell.
Aggro or Cheese TV?
Oh. I'll go Aggro.
All right. That's fine. You seem to put more weight to that one than any of them. You're like, world peace or end world hunger? Rightio. Pizzas or burgers?
Burgers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give us your ultimate burger. Are you a chicken? Are you a beef? What is peak burger in Kat's eyes?
Oh, it depends on my mood. Like, I love a classic cheeseburger, but fat burger with egg, bacon.
Oh man, egg is the be all end all.
Wait, are you beetroot in a burger or
no?
No,
not at all.
I might leave.
And pineapple on hot food, you can.
You're wrong.
No. Well, I forgot to. Sorry, everyone listening needs to know that Kat told me when she first got here that she loves coriander. So take all her food-related questions with that caveat, knowing that she's wrong. Alrighty-o. Ninja Turtles or Ghostbusters?
Ninja Turtles.
Correct. You can stay. Aliens or Terminators?
Aliens. Just.
Grease or Rocky Horror?
Oh, this is like the hardest question. I'm going to go Rocky Horror because the Grease sequel is shit.
You can go. How dare you? This was a trick question. The correct answer was Grease 2.
No.
Every song I play tonight's going to be off the Grease 2 soundtrack.
That's
it's going to
fine.
be great. Pulp Fiction or Goodfellas?
Pulp Fiction.
The Lion King or Aladdin?
Oh, no.
You have to. Them's the rules.
Oh.
Fight Club or Seven?
Oh, no. Stop.
You gotta pick one of
can't do
them.
this. Fight Club. Just.
Forrest Gump or Titanic?
Forrest Gump.
E.T. or Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park.
The Lion King or Aladdin?
Aladdin.
All right. Aladdin. So you've just killed those lions that you were trying to protect earlier this evening.
That's fine.
Wow.
Have you
Wow.
seen the cake? The meme with the cake where it's like my 4-year-old asked for
Yeah.
the cake with
Yes.
Mufasa, but the part where Mufasa dies so that everyone's too sad to eat cake.
Good times. Well, now we know all about you as a movie watcher. We will head on into the evening, even though you're for the most part wrong with a lot of your answers, but that's fine because this is a free and fair show where you are right to be wrong. It's totally fine.
I don't need to be right to someone who hates coriander.
Final question. In that Zooey Deschanel-led biopic, what song would you have as the opening title song?
So I went back and forth on this for so long and I was like, oh, like this would really suit, that would really suit. And then I realized that we will probably open with me running late and trying to put on socks while brushing my teeth. And the perfect song for that would probably be Wasting Time by 4 Year Strong.
Well, let's hear it and kick off this evening. This is DVG. Don't forget you can join in the conversation. Follow us on all social medias and let us know everywhere Cat goes wrong. This is DVG.
Looks like you're keeping your bod pretty tight. You looking pretty good yourself? Well, every day's a workout when you gotta carry around a 20-pound python in your jeans.
You and your dick comments.
It's fun to say them.
It's fun to hear them.
That's why I say them.
And that's why I listen.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
It is DVG as we are heading through Cat, the personal trainer slash muscle builder, monster machine maker. We are taking through the 10 all-time favourite films of you. Starting things off, there's no trailer because it's not in English.
Sorry.
It is, I would say, one of my favourite films I ever found on SBS.
Yep.
That doesn't have boobs. So that says a lot about how much I enjoyed this movie. Released in 2000, let me read you the synopsis as IMDb tells me. There are 666 portals that connect this world to the other side. These are concealed from all human beings. Somewhere in Japan exists a 444th portal, the Forest of Resurrection. It is a zombie Yakuza movie. We are talking about Versus from 2000. Why did you choose this movie?
Because it's elite. I mean, just from the synopsis, you know that it's going to be good. And let's be honest, no one does gore like Asia does gore. I think the highlight of that is that sword fight in a snowy forest and just the blood on the snow. It's just perfect.
I think that there's a lot owed to this from the likes of Predators, where there's the Predator has a Yakuza samurai sword fight.
Yep.
And it's very similar in the setup to this movie. But I just remember watching this not knowing anything about it. There was 2 movies on SBS back in the day that they play. Because remember back in the day, SBS would just play like the same 10 movies for a month. This and Wild Zero are 2 movies that were always on. And they were both similar in style. But this one, a little bit more serious. A little bit less fun, but also fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Tell us about this movie.
I mean, it's just the amalgamation of all things awesome. Yeah, I sort of found it in a similar way. And I remember just being like, ooh, what is this? And the second you have Yakuza versus zombies, like, you know it's going to be epic.
And it looks really fantastic because there is something like you're saying with the Asian cinema where it looks so different from Western cinema that it's hard to put a date on it because it looks mid-90s, but the special effects look like mid-2000s. And that mixed together is really... A lot of direct-to-DVD horror started borrowing that kind of style in the late 2000s. And, man, this movie's underrated. Believe it or not, the first time it's come up on the show.
Really?
Which is a bit of a crime, but it is fantastic. Everyone brings up Battle Royale.
Yep.
But this never gets a run. So congratulations on bringing a fantastic movie to the show.
I had to have at least one zombie movie in there.
How often have you revisited this one?
Oh, not enough. It is one that I revisit time to time. I tend to go through a phase where I'm like this.
Because you're saying off air you've got an obsession with internet pornography and you don't get time to watch movies.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of my time.
I can imagine. What would you give this movie out of 19?
I'm going to give it a solid 17, I reckon. I'd rate it pretty highly. Just it just sounds so wanky, but I feel like, especially Asian cinema, the use of sound, the use of color.
Yep.
That just...
And there's something to be said about the design and the production design of the movie because it's set in a forest.
Yep.
Cheap to make, but looks pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
It's got the forest has its own creepiness, much like Evil Dead. So there's lots of shots of low camera running over all the leaves, all the fallen leaves and stuff. Lots of gore, lots of blood, lots of fun.
Yeah, no one does gore and blood like Asian cinema.
That is very true. What would you give this movie out of 19?
Probably a 17.
Wow, that's a big call. And if you could be any of the characters in this film, who would you want to be?
Oh, I don't know.
The Man.
Let me be a man just once.
He's called the Man.
Oh.
He is very cool. Lots of assassins, lots of yakuzas, lots of samurai sword death. Do yourself a favour if you haven't seen it. Check it out. We can continue now with a little bit of music.
But I think that the music was a little loud.
Are you afraid of it?
No. I just don't like techno.
You would if you had robot ears.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
I hate your face.
Did you say something? Dave's Video Graveyard as we continue with Kat from Iron Forged Physiques.
Yes.
Cool. So do you literally use iron?
Yep.
As in like an ironing board and an iron? Sweet.
When I get out of the kitchen.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You're being very, very chauvinistic, and that's not what this show is about. We are a safe space. I will take my
boobs and leave.
Nah. You can go. But, can you leave them? We are talking about Moulin Rouge, the Baz Luhrmann glitter fart that is Moulin Rouge. All of his movies are slow motion glitter farts.
Except for Australia, which was trash.
Oh, come on. But in saying that, this is peak Nicole Kidman's forehead. She stars in the film, along with Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor. This movie was responsible for a music video that I liked as a 14-year-old boy. That was the Lady Marmalade cover by Pink, Maya, Christina, and Missy Elliott. Who was the other one?
Maya?
Pink?
Christina.
Maya, Pink, Christina. Someone else.
Oh, who are we forgetting?
Someone's crying right now that we've left them out. Why did you pick this movie? And what's it about?
All right, so I picked it because I have a secret love of musicals.
Grease 2?
Except for Grease 2.
Wrong. You've got one more chance. Little Shop of Horrors.
Love it.
Yes! We're friends again. Your boobs can come back, I guess.
Woohoo!
This movie, I think, and I always accuse Baz Luhrmann of being style over substance, but I actually think this one's substance equal to style.
Yep.
But then you look at like the likes of Romeo plus Juliet, it's like you're talking to a guy sitting here in a Hawaiian shirt, so I can't talk too much bad about that.
It screams Romeo and Juliet.
And one of the best soundtracks
shirt.
of all time.
And also one of the best shirts.
Yes.
Is Romeo's Hawaiian shirt.
We got Jamie Kennedy, so that you got a lot of good things. I haven't committed to the pink hair yet with the thing, but I'll get there.
Time.
Get me some gold-plated guns and John Leguizamo, and I'm in. Actually, John Leguizamo's in this as well.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
How often?
He's doing a Tim Burton where he's just got like the same people reappearing.
How often? He's gone very Aussie again, like with what's he done since The Great Gatsby? Not much.
Yeah, after
because The Great Gatsby had like the Edgertons and a lot of Aussies.
I loved Great Gatsby. That would probably be an honourable mention. I can't even remember what came on the other day, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot to put that in. I picked Moulin Rouge over Great Gatsby because I've definitely watched it more.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said to you before, like I grew up on Strictly Ballroom, and then when Romeo and Juliet came out, I was like, oh, I love this. So
I would be forever happy if I saw Paul Mercurio get punched in the face. I'm not telling someone to punch him in the face. I'm just saying that if it happened, man, it would make me smile. Any age too. It could be Strictly Ballroom Paul or King Kong's finger. Because, you know, he just looks like King Kong's finger now. He's so hairy. Apparently, he taught all the monkeys how to move. And this isn't even a joke. In the 2001 Tim Burton Planet of the Apes, he was like the choreographer for all the monkeys. And I was like,
I mean, that's a
how's that a job?
But it's a cool thing to have on your resume.
Yeah, true. As much as that Mark Wahlberg movie is a classic, you know, it's good to have. It's good to have.
Sounds like someone who dislikes coriander.
Well, you know, tell us more about Moulin Rouge. What's it like being an auntie with lots of Minions pictures printed out on your desk and teddy bears on the back shelf of your hatchback?
I'm actually picking up some Minion costumes for my cats tomorrow.
I believe it. You picked Moulin Rouge. It all
Moulin
makes
Rouge
sense.
Is brilliant.
How often do you revisit this one?
A lot. It's my go-to to cry to.
Really?
Yeah. It's my sappy side. Like after watching all the violent Asian horror, I'm like, I need to cry a bit. Balance it out, you know?
Like I need to watch Animals of Farthing Wood. Who thought that something with fart in the title could make you cry? Who would ever have thought that? You know, Baz Luhrmann wrote and directed this film. Ewan McGregor is...
Don't you talk smack on Ewan McGregor.
No, I was going to say, he's pretty good in this movie.
Yeah.
But he has musical chops. Because did you ever see the television show, the limited series that used to be on ABC? But you would have been watching Judi Dench on something else. But Lipstick on My Collar was a musical.
I reckon I
where
did.
Ewan McGregor worked in one of the war clerical offices.
Yeah.
And he was so bored that he would always hallucinate something interesting.
Yeah.
And it was always musical numbers. And he was so good in it. So lovable.
I feel like he's a really underrated actor.
100%. I recently, because we're compiling a toilet humor episode for our podcast. So we revisited Trainspotting. And I was like, can you just put Ewan McGregor in everything ever again?
I feel like he's underrated and Nicole Kidman's massively overrated. This is 100%. Probably the only movie that I like her in.
I think she is overrated once for every millimeter of her forehead above her eyebrows. So that is massively overrated.
That's generous.
And that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that when she was in... BMX Bandits, they actually had to use an empty wheelbarrow as a helmet on the push bike because that 5, 6, 7 head of hers. I just don't like her because I feel like I get the same vibe from some of Sandra Bullock's performances. There's this I should be here arrogance about the way that they don't try because they think they just deserve to be in these movies. It's like they're just complacent to be there. Yeah. What would you give Moulin Rouge out of 19? Is this a 19?
It'd come close.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your favourite song in it?
Oh.
Is it We're Gonna Score Tonight? Oh, wait, that's Grease 2. Much better film. Don't know how I mixed the two up.
Needs more glitter. I would probably say the Elephant Love medley. I know.
Have you seen the Brothers Grimsby? Because that has a very similar medley. Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to rewatch this because I haven't seen it since I was 16 and I thought it would all be like the music video, which it wasn't.
No. I mean, there was a lot of butt in it still.
Yes, there was. What do you think of the lesser? Because anytime a game changer movie comes along, there's all the copycats for the next few years.
Yeah.
So this exploded, and then we got the likes of Chicago, Burlesque, and all those movies. What do you think of those?
I loved Chicago. Really, really liked the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I think the cast nailed it. I'm not a big... It was Renee Zellweger. And
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not a
and
big
Richard
fan.
Gere.
Yeah, so I'm not a big Renee Zellweger fan, but I thought she pulled it off in that.
What about the much lesser musicals like Rock of Ages? That's a secret. That's a secret love from me too. I like that movie. Hairspray, either the original or the remake. I know you love remakes.
No, like that was decent. Still not glitter
So,
level of Moulin Rouge.
You're sitting at home about 10 years ago, flicking through the channels,
Yep.
and Glee's on. Are you keep flicking, or are you sticking around?
I liked the first season of Glee for the songs. The show itself, I was like, meh. But the music, I was like, yeah.
You're a rich Monopoly man. You're like, meow, meow.
Yeah, for me, it was the music. It wasn't the show itself.
So what are some of the formative musicals of your life that you're a huge fan of?
Moulin Rouge. Chicago.
Cool. Any other answers you can repeat?
Yes.
Are there any others?
No, I grew up on like Jesus Christ Superstar. Loved
Which
that.
one? The original movie, obviously.
Yeah.
Because the first time I realised I was in love with the ladies, 1992, sitting at home with mum and dad
Yep.
and my sister. We're watching Hey Hey It's Saturday. And they say, coming up, we've got a live performance from Jesus Christ Superstar, the musical. Out on stage comes everyone's favourite, John Farnham.
Yep.
That's fine. John Stevens comes out, says, G'day. Kate Sobrano
Yeah.
comes on the screen, asks me to marry her when I'm older. I accept. Things didn't work out, but Jesus Christ Superstar was an awakening for me.
It
And I
was
like,
brilliant.
and I have not stopped loving Kate Sobrano since.
Yeah. That's understandable.
Yes.
Rocky Horror, obviously.
What's your favourite song in Rocky Horror? This tells me a lot about people.
Oh,
Moist is Touch Me, which is no surprise.
that would be up there.
For me,
I feel
it's
like Sweet-
science. Okay, so
Sweet Transvestite's definitely up there.
sweet. For me, it's definitely Over at the Frankenstein Place or Science Fiction Double Feature.
Yeah.
But that entire soundtrack, you have to come back. Next year, I'm planning on doing soundtrack specials where we play the entire soundtrack and talk about each song.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
you should pick a musical and come along. I won't be here that week because you smell like coriander and elderberries.
And I'll pick the better of the two Grease movies.
We're going to watch Grease too, are we? Fantastic. I've got the whole soundtrack here. Don't tempt
With
me.
pineapple on pizza and coriander in mojitos.
Why pineapple on pizza? I don't understand pineapple on hot food ever.
Because it's delicious.
Do you like prawns? I've got a thing about the texture. And
Yeah.
prawns is
Do you
the
hate
same
mushrooms then?
I do, yes. Unless they're barbecued, because they're basically tough, well-done meat then.
Where does avocado sit in that?
Love it.
Okay.
Because it's sneaky butter. I can tell my brain that it's just butter, so I'm fine with that. Awesome.
Interesting.
How are you when it comes to singing?
Horrible, and it's not going to happen.
That's the best. No, I wasn't offering. My fans have already turned off when you said about Grease 2. No, I was wondering, is this something where everyone has to suffer through you singing every song of every musical, every movie?
I mean, it could be.
Is that an offer? Are we going on a date? We're going to the movies. You're going to have all
You
your
get the
lollies.
popcorn.
Yeah, I'll be that guy. Awesome. Well, let's jump back into the music and continue your countdown. Where can people check out everything you got going on social media?
Iron Forged Physiques. So Instagram and Facebook. I tend to be quite slack with Facebook, so Instagram's probably the way to go.
Awesome. Let's get back into the music. This is 100.5 WOWFM as I find the thing.
But I think that the music was a little loud.
Are you afraid of it?
No, I just don't like techno.
You would if you had robot ears.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOW FM.
I hate your face.
Did you say something?
That's right, it is DVG. We are covering all the movies on Kat's list, and she's bringing none of the knowledge because she thinks that Grease 2 isn't good and Coriander is. So, I'm just choking on my words because I'm so shocked. But however, it is so great that Kat took time out of opposite day to be here. Now, we are talking about another movie that doesn't have a trailer because it's not in English and it doesn't make for great radio on this format. We are talking about a movie directed by a director that I can barely say his name, but I'm going to try and say Guillermo del Toro.
Close.
How do you say his first name? We are talking about Pan's Labyrinth, the second best movie with Labyrinth in the title. Why did you choose this movie and tell us about it?
I have a love for fairy tales, and I feel like it's very sort of grown-up fairy tale, very, very dark.
Like a Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah, very, very dark.
From 2006. It's one of those movies where you kind of don't know what you're in for. It was marketed poorly, which a lot of foreign films often are in the Western world. I remember vividly the first time I saw it because it's just so brutal. Yeah. Like you say, it does have a lot of the vibes of The Labyrinth or Dark Crystal. It's got one of those fantasy elements. Looks much better. Yeah. A lot of fantastic elements, but man, it is brutal.
Yeah. And I think they nailed like the characters in it. They were just so believable. Yep. And yeah, just sort of that juxtaposition of, you know, her in that fantasy world escaping from a very brutal real world.
Well, it's got a lot of parallels to another movie that you've chosen we'll be discussing this evening, but it's where the multiple realities. Yeah. And you kind of left not knowing if it's her dealing with grief or if it actually is a fantastical world. Yeah. I always remember where the Admiral, who's her stepfather, catches the rabbit hunters. Yeah. And smashes his face in with a gun.
I knew exactly when you're like, I remember.
Such a vivid scene. And also one of the fairy guides getting eaten by the Pale Man. Yeah. Played amazingly by, I reckon it's Doug Jones. He does a lot of the creatures. Did you watch Hocus Pocus growing up? Yeah. You know Billy the zombie with his mouth sewed shut? Same guy that played the fawn, and I reckon it's all the same guy. Yep. But yeah, he ate that fairy, and that was out. That's the first turn. Yeah. It's quite fantastical. Yeah. And then that happens, and you're like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Horror. Can you imagine watching this? Because not to reveal that you're 74 years old, but can you imagine watching this as a kid? Yeah. This would have. We're talking about Farthing Wood and Watership Down. This would be a lot of kids' version of that.
Yeah. But I think like, a lot of the original fairy tales were very, very dark. And I sort of grew up. I mean, I grew up on Disney, but I also grew up on a lot of the darker sort of original.
Which knee? Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, you said you grew up on a knee. Which one? You said you grew up on which knee? Yes, I'm still a dad. I've got to check every now and then. Got to check every now and then.
Yeah, so like if you look at a lot of like French fairy tales and things like that, like I remember as a kid, my mum's French and she had
like Pepe Le Pew.
Like Pepe Le Pew. Say it properly. How do you say croissant?
Croissant.
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 Croissant. Yeah, so she actually had, I still remember like this fairy tale book and it was all in French, but the illustrations were like super dark.
And she had an almond milk latte when she got it. Tell us more about all your French speaking and how long have you been better than us all? That's probably my next question.
Approximately 74 years.
74, so your entire half your life.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but like I think that love of sort of dark fairy tales, Pan's Labyrinth definitely nails that.
What would you give this one out of 19?
Oh God, I feel like I'm rating them all really high because
We'll give it a low.
It's a 19.
And if you had to bargain bin this movie with another film similar to sell in like a cheap as chips bin, what would you double it up with? You're going to say The Dark Crystal, and I know you are.
That would pair well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I see the working. Do you remember there was a movie called Night Watch that came out in like 2005-ish, 2006? And it was like a Russian superhero movie, but it was very dark and grim like this. Actually, I'd put this with the movie Legion, which has Doug Jones as that ice cream guy. Yeah. It's got the same vibe where it's, you think it's not that rough and then it gets rougher and rougher.
Okay, I could see that.
What's your favourite horror film of all time?
That's tough.
Haven't seen that one. Haven't seen that one.
Stop throwing these horrible questions at me and making me choose things.
Tell us everything wrong with Moisty Magic as a person. That's
done.
the next question.
I am done.
She stormed out.
No, I don't know. Like, I feel like the original Ring was really, really good.
Yeah.
But then if you go something more like...
Sorry, not to be ignorant, do you mean Ringu or Ring?
Ringu.
Okay. No, I didn't know what you meant by original, because I'm pretty sure they've rebooted that one.
I was going to say not anything American horror.
Yes.
Martyrs was brilliant.
I was going to ask when you mentioned Martyrs earlier, how much are you upset by the remake? Or you never bothered?
I didn't know there's a remake.
And it got like an R rating or something. Like it got cut down and everything. The remake is horrendous.
I was going to say it would not measure up.
Have you seen Audition?
Was the
You would like
remake
the movie.
American? Yeah.
Certainly
They did that with Let the Right One In.
Yes.
As well. Like, they need to stop taking foreign films and ruining them.
I would say the exception being Wreck. They remade the movie Wreck about the zombie outbreak in the old mansion. I believe it was a French film.
Okay.
They remade it and called it Quarantine. And I loved both of them.
Okay.
I thought they were just as good. Pretty much the exact same movie.
But it's rare that America does horror better.
Yeah, that's a fair call. That's a fair call. What was I going to say? What movie we were talking about? We were talking all about Pan's Labyrinth. Do you like Wormo's other stuff? I cannot say his name. Do you like Blade 2?
What is with you and sequels? I mean,
Because he directed it.
I feel like the entire Blade trilogy was pretty good.
In the second one, no, the third one,
Yeah.
Blade Trinity, starring Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel. After having a big day on a certain substance, Wesley Snipes had an argument with the director, and the scene was supposed to be Blade wakes up on a table and sits up. Wesley Snipes refused to open his eyes for the scene as an FU to the director.
Yeah.
Next time you watch, because I know it happens quite often, next time you watch Blade 3, they had to CGI open eyes
Are you
on
serious?
Wesley Snipes in that scene, and I just love those kind of things.
That is like an elite level of passive aggressive.
It's like I've always loved the stories of The Island of Dr. Moreau and movies like that where Marlon Brando refused to stop wearing an ice bucket as a hat. And so it's in the movie that he's just got an ice bucket for a hat. What a movie. Let's jump back into the music before we continue your list. And remind us once more the best place on Instagram to find you.
Iron Forged Physiques.
This is DVG.
What, were they psychos? Or?
They look like psychos? Is that what they look like? They were vampires. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give up how crazy they are.
Talking movies on the radio. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Only after dark.
This is DVG as we continue Cat's top 10 favourite movies of all time. And it's time we talk about a movie that's about King's Cross on a Saturday night. We're talking about Sucker Punch from 2011. One movie that confuses me more than most. The reason being, this is constantly on lists of most hated films all the time.
Really?
I don't understand. This is no worse. To me, this is no worse than anything else Zack Snyder did. I'm not saying this is bad because I love this movie because I love Carla Gugino, however you say her name, from Son-in-Law. Emma Browning, I think it is. Emily Browning. This movie is so different. And I think a lot of people, it's not as smart as it pretends to be. But at the same time, it's pretty clever because it's got that multi-level reality going on. And you find out that it's their way of dealing with grief. Spoiler alert. Why'd you pick this movie?
It's just a good movie. It's
Well, we're done here then.
Done.
Let's move on.
No, I feel like, again, it's got that sort of dark fairy tale element to it, which I love. But I think, it's one of those things where it doesn't have to be a smart movie as such. Like, you can watch it on the level that it is.
Yeah.
You can read into it and be like, oh, it means this and that and that. But it's also one that works where you're like, yeah, it's like a hot chick with a sword doing cool shit.
Well, beyond that, pretty much exactly that, actually. It's like, you can either read into the subtext of the movie, or you can watch a sword fight a giant terracotta like samurai with a chain gun.
Yeah.
It's
like,
incredible.
what is not good about that?
And in some parts it is style over substance, but I still don't understand the hate this movie gets.
Yeah.
It's not Suicide Squad, which to me is one of the worst movies ever made.
I mean, look, I still sat through that and I was like, it's watchable. But again, it's one of those ones that you watch and you're just like, take it as it is. Don't take it out of...
Yeah.
Like, it's not...
What you see is what you get if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's much like, what's the Dream movie that everyone argued about for years? The Leonardo DiCaprio...
Oh, Inception.
Inception. It's like that, where everyone's like, well, this is what it means.
It's
and this
so
is what
meaningful.
this is what Interstellar's really about. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
I cried when his daughter was old. This movie has a great ending.
Yep.
As a chauvinist, I was stoked. What did you think as a chauvinist as well? Because you've let us know off air that, you don't think female powerful characters should exist in movies. Elaborate on that on air, if you will. What's your website address again, just so people can send their replies?
Oh.
No. I think Zack Snyder is one of those directors where his fans have done him as much of a service as they have a disservice because they're so loyal, but to a fault.
Yep.
So now he can't even do like schlocky. Like, I loved Army of the Dead. I thought it was fantastic. So dumb. It's exactly... wasn't pretending to be anything it wasn't. And I enjoyed that. And I think that is the case for a lot of Zack Snyder stuff, but a lot of the film bros add in all these levels where they're like, oh, no, I think it's like Christopher Nolan type levels. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, it's just...
Sometimes it really is hot chicks shooting machine guns on a train.
Yeah, and
sometimes that's what it is.
Yeah.
How often did you revisit this one?
Pretty frequently, because it is one, like I said,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones that you can just throw on and enjoy it for what it is. You don't have to sort of be like, oh, I need to be in the mood to like process everything that's in this movie.
I could be wrong, but this is one of the first movies where they did the stripped down version of a pop song for the trailer, and now it seems like every single movie has to have, because this had Sweet Dreams. I think it was actually sang by Emily Browning in the trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I might have made that up, but I'm pretty sure. It had the coolest remix of a Bjork song.
Yep.
The Army of Me was sick in
The
this.
soundtrack for this was really good.
And I think Zack Snyder doesn't get enough credit for all his soundtrack work, even in the likes of, Watchmen.
Yep.
It is so a character unto itself, much like it is in this one. Who's your favourite character that isn't Baby Doll in this one?
Nah, you just ruined it.
No, that's a question. She's the pineapple of the film. I'm joking.
And we know how I feel
You
about
got so-
pineapple.
yeah, I know.
So I'm standing by that.
Where's a picture of Carla? For reasons. I always forget Oscar Isaac's in this movie. That's how good everyone else is in this movie. I can't find a photo, but this is radio, so that doesn't matter. I'll look at it later. It is brutal, though.
Look at it.
It is another brutal movie that you have
I know.
chosen.
I go from like.
So my
Disney
next question: you okay? You right?
This is why I cried in Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna watch Pan's Labyrinth, then I'll cry to a musical.
Yeah.
Hope you're alright. If you need to.
I mean, you cried to Grease too, so let's be fair here.
Michael Kerrigan was an amazing character, and I'll always cry. Putsy from Grease 1 is the mayor in Grease 2. So get your story straight if you're gonna come at the king, don't miss, all right? Let's go back into the music. This one is a bit of a tribute, because one of my all-time favorite frontmen in rock and roll passed away this week. So I'm going to play a couple of his songs. This is DVG.
Looks like you're keeping your bod pretty tight. You looking pretty good yourself? Well, every day's a workout when you gotta carry around a 20-pound python in your jeans.
You and your dick comments.
It's fun to say them.
It's fun to hear them.
That's why I say them.
And that's why I listen.
All the movies, none of the knowledge. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
It is DVG as we continue. Cats, descent into darkness this evening. Now, an uncharacteristic, quick warning, the following movie we're talking about has some pretty rough content, and if it stirs up any issues that you may be having, make sure you know that there's someone always there to help, because, you know, problems aren't your problem, but they are your thing to deal with. So make sure if you need help, you seek it. And one of those places that can help you is Lifeline. So give them a call at any time, 13 11 14. And with that in mind, we are talking about your next choice, Wrist Cutters, A Love Story.
Yes.
What is this tonally wrong movie? Tell us about it.
So this was recommended to me years ago by a friend, and again, it was...
You sure they weren't just telling you to do something?
In hindsight, no. Yeah, it was one that I wasn't expecting, and then sat down and watched it, and I was like, what is this? But I just thought it was a really interesting concept. Like, you see a lot of movies that cover, you know, heaven, hell, purgatory, all this sort of thing, and it was just such a different spin on the idea of purgatory.
Yeah.
So I just really liked that it was, you know, something a little bit different, and just, yeah, it was interesting.
Seeing the name Tom Waits is no surprise.
Yep.
It looks like such an indie darling movie. I wouldn't be surprised if this is somewhere in a 2-pack with Ghost World or something like that. Like, it
could be, yeah.
And it's got that girl that I fell in love with in A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger.
Yeah. It's got quite a solid lineup for something that I've never seen it advertised anywhere. I don't remember it being released.
Will Arnett's in it? Wow.
Yeah, it's got a solid lineup.
So tell us about this movie. Nick Offerman's in there. Tell us about this movie. And before we talk about it, just to lighten the mood, shout out to Jamie, who's been sending us pictures of Carla from Son-in-Law, because it's really made things better. I've had nothing nice to look at this evening, so it was fantastic of him to send those through. Back to you, Kat.
Thanks.
Why did you choose this movie?
It's just something a little bit different. It's
one. Are you okay?
Yes.
Just ask again. I'm obliged
I'm
to
gonna go home
ask.
and cry to Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just something a little bit different. It's not something that you commonly see in terms of themes for a movie. Yeah, it was just, it really stood out because it was, definitely very different. I'm just repeating myself. But yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just sort of
sometimes the things you love about a movie is how far removed it is from what you're used to.
Yeah.
So when the tone is something you're completely not ready for or you haven't experienced before, there's just something really cool about that sometimes.
Yeah, and it was just very low key. It's not one of those movies where you're sitting there on the edge of your seat oh my God, it was just very chilled throughout the entire movie.
Oh,
but it was interesting.
I'm just looking at the list. Clayne Crawford's in this. Now, he means something to me because my wife is the only human on earth that watched the Lethal Weapon TV show. And he played Riggs in that. But he got fired for punching someone because he was a psycho. Let's see. The director and writer, I bet you... What else has he made? Nope, nothing that I know.
He looks like someone who would order an almond latte.
I thought 100%. I thought I would click this and it would show his movies and there'd be an Adventureland or something with Zooey Deschanel or, something early in her career.
I feel like you could easily put Zooey Deschanel or the lead from Emily.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Just slide right into that and would not look out of place.
Makes a lot of sense. And Tom Waits that's how you get your indie cred. It's is Tom Waits free this weekend? He is. He's not singing like Cookie Monster this weekend. Sweet, we'll get him in here. And there's a great example. One of the more like this on IMDb is Garden State.
I'm pretty sure you said that before.
That's all you need to know. Yeah. Is it as obviously it's a light-hearted spin on a very dark tale.
Yeah.
Is it as bleak as it looks?
I think it's got some really nice elements.
What's the main takeaway after you've watched this? How do you feel?
Oh.
That's what I want to know.
I think it's... I'm going to go cry now. No. I don't know. I haven't walked away from it feeling really sad. It's just given the topic, it's just it's a nice movie.
I'll take your word for it. All right, let's go to a movie I know nothing about, but it sounds like it's about farting. This is DVD.
Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Get to the chopper!
If you find yourself the original version, the decolorized version of Gone with the Wind, and you watch it and you squint at certain scenes, in the background you can see a newborn baby. And we are lucky enough to be joined by that newborn. I'm learning to talk, yeah. Today, Junior. Why did you pick Gone with the Wind colorized?
It's one that I grew up with, so it's definitely one that Mum was like putting on when I was quite young.
You've watched it once a year and you've seen it 75 times.
I have. I probably would have watched it close to 75 times, to be honest. I've definitely...
It's a long movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did Wizard of Oz resonate with you, or was this your Wizard of Oz?
This was my Wizard of Oz. I liked Wizard of Oz, but this
was the revisit constantly. So tell us about it. What's it about? Is it about farting?
It's about farting. How did you know?
Because it's in the title. Why do you love this movie so much?
Love the storyline. I think a big thing growing up for me was the clothing, the fashion, Scarlett as a character. I loved her growth as a character throughout, but I also loved ditzy, flirty Scarlett at the start. Like, watching that, I was just like, she's got this. She knows what she's doing. That scene at the barbecue where they're all arguing over who's going to eat with her and who's getting her food, and she's like,
A friend of mine that was a somewhat reputable actress, she was a huge drama fiend.
Yep.
And I remember in Year 12, I'd never seen this movie, and she does one of the dialogues of it.
Yep.
And I was like, everyone was lapping it up. And I'm like, this is the Worth Southern drawl, overacted, over like, almost like, hysterics, like over the top. I'm like, this is not acting, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Then I saw the movie years later, I'm like, oh my God, she did it perfectly.
Yeah.
But not like removed from the film that it's in.
yeah.
It is it's almost 100 years old, so it's of another time.
Oh, yeah, and I feel like if you look back at it nowadays, like with nowadays context and apply it, there's so many things where you're like, oh, that did not age well. Like there's so many things that would not fly in movies nowadays. But it's a classic.
It literally is a classic.
It is a classic.
That word gets bandied about, but this is actually from... The first time I saw this was on Turner Classic Movies back in the day, TCN. And it wasn't colorized at the time because he was I reckon he was in the process of colorizing it and everyone was angry at him for it. So that was like mid-90s, I reckon. I could be wrong, but that's when I remember it happening. It holds up. I think that everyone needs to see once in their life this and Citizen Kane.
Yeah, or 17 hours of this.
Yeah. Or even North by Northwest. You've got to get the classics India.
Yeah.
Because, I know you don't like North by Northwest because when they're on the Mount Rushmore at the end, Judi Dench isn't there. And you're like, this isn't the way I want it.
Where's Megan Fox?
Where's Megan Fox? Where was she when this was getting made? Clark Gable. It's so funny.
Clark Gable.
One thing that I love, because obviously being a kid of the 80s and 90s, a tough, strong... independent leading man had muscles or had a mullet and could do a roundhouse kick. Then to see what an old school leading man was, and you're like, oh, we're different, very different leading men.
Clark Gable was amazing.
He wasn't in Singing in the Rain, was he?
No, I don't think so.
Let's see what else he was in.
But just the lines in it as well. Just like when
someone's old when all of their movie posters are literally hand painted on burlap sacks. I think his character in this is basically the blueprint of Mr. Banks from Mary Poppins. I feel like that's what he thought he was doing at the time. Do you want that little Gomez Adams moustache to make a comeback?
Nah.
You wouldn't want someone coming in the gym and being like, "You must train me." I'll cut my ginger into that if you want.
Do it.
Except I'd train you because look at this. Look at this.
Do it.
It's like it's like an Instagram fitness model sitting across from you, and you're very lucky.
Let's tee it up and film it and put it on Instagram.
What would you give Gone with the Wind, an unheard of indie movie that no one's ever seen? It's new, isn't it? This come out this year?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see the preview. Yeah, it's coming to cinemas real soon.
What? Yeah, it's Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then this is the following week. What would you give Gone with the Wind out of 19?
Oh, I'm going to give it a 19 just for sentimental value.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been absolutely thrashed to death.
Well, let's go to another movie now that is very similar in a lot of ways, very similar in tone. In fact, many could say it's a unofficial sequel to this movie. It's
the only sequel I like.
This is DVG.
What were they, psychos? Or?
They look like psychos? Is that what they look like? They were vampires. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give up how crazy they are.
Talking movies on the radio. This is Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Only after dark.
In a magical, realistic version of Toronto, a young man must defeat his new girlfriend's 7 evil exes one by one in order to win her heart. Directed by Edgar Wright of the Cornetto trilogy and Baby Driver, a heap of amazing movies. We are talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Kat, why did you choose this movie?
It's just an epic movie. It's another one where it is what it is. Like, there's no, deep, meaningful anything behind it. It's just enjoyable. It's fun. And, I need a few light ones in there to balance out all my sad movies.
Awesome. It's so much fun. And I always love a movie that is cast so strongly that years later you look back and pretty much everyone playing a minor role in this film is a leading actor themselves nowadays. I love this movie. Who's your favourite of the exes?
Oh.
Is it Captain America?
It's Captain America. No. I have a soft spot for how wanky Todd is. Like, that battle and, like, how Scott wins that is just perfect.
I don't care how many times I watch this movie. Every time he picks up the coins will always be funny to me after he defeats someone.
And waiting for the package. Where
Yes.
Did you just order that?
One of my all-time favourite action stars shows up as the vegan police. Thomas Jane shows up. This movie is a lot of fun, and there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot think of something that I'd even closely relate to this
What
movie.
do they put as their, like, movies
Let's have a
like
look.
this?
Movies like this is Hot
No.
Fuzz World's End, so
They're
everything
wrong.
else that Edgar Wright directed, pretty much. What would I say was like this?
There's nothing
Pixels
similar.
wishes it was this movie, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing that is even remotely similar.
All right, let's talk about another movie now.
Okay, that was short.
Well, I realised
Short
what
and
time. I realised what time it was. Head in the Clouds.
Yes.
What is this movie?
It's a good cry movie.
I will make you a promise.
Yeah.
I will never see this movie by my own accord.
Have you seen the lead females in it?
Well, it's Charlize Theron, another person whose name I cannot say properly.
Yeah.
Who else?
Selma Hayek.
I'm going to watch this movie. I apologise. I thought when I watched the trailer, because I skipped through, I thought it was Penelope Cruz for a second. So I was like,
No, you might be right. It was Penelope Cruz. My bad.
how dare you? Leave, go, don't come
My
back.
bad.
Leave the boobs and go.
Does it help that they make out in it?
I'm going to watch it. Maybe. Tell me what this movie is. It
So
looks like Atonement.
I guess. It's set in World War II.
Oh, it's got Lestat from Queen of the Damned
It's got
in it.
a good lineup. So set in World War II, it just follows basically 3 characters and, like, their
Penelope Cruz, how dare you? I got so excited.
I'm
that
sorry. Penelope Cruz is still solid.
Nah, she's no Selma.
Ooh.
Stuart Townsend was originally meant to be Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
And he was a massive dick, and he got fired like a week in.
No one's going to be Aragorn like
He never
Aragorn.
bounced back.
But yeah, underrated movie. Again, one that I haven't heard a lot about.
You watch Downton Abbey, don't you?
Mum made me watch it.
I know. I'm sure
Classic.
this movie looks like Downton Abbey. It is not for me.
It's nothing like Downton Abbey.
Oh man, this looks like a lot of work. That seems really questionable to have as the photos for it. But anyway,
no, it's
Stuart Townsend was on Friends, I reckon.
Really?
In the latest season. He was in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'm going to look at that while you tell me what the movie's about.
Yeah, it just follows, I guess, 3 people, their relationships with each other and how they deal with what's going on in the midst of World War II. Yeah, it's one of those movies where, again, you've got that real juxtaposition against, you know, really horrible things and then really sweet moments. Another, good crying film. A lot of feels with this one. So, yeah, there's moments where you're just like, oh, this is so horrible. This can't, be happening. I hate this movie. And then there's moments when you're like, oh.
This movie looks to me like it belongs on a midday movie.
Nah.
And it needs to have, Colin Firth and, like Pride and Prejudice or something like that.
I need things to balance out my Yakuza versus zombie movie.
See, he was in Queen of the Damned. I was sure he was in Friends. I'm wrong, but there's the first time for everything.
I mean, coriander, pineapple.
First time for everything.
Grease too.
So, what else is happening on Opposite Day today for you? So, what is our final movie for this evening? That's not everything, is it?
I feel like there's one more.
Spirited Away.
Yes.
What an incredible
there was
film.
a cartoon in there.
Yes, what an incredible movie. My all-time favourite studio, I'm going to say Ghibli because I don't know how to say it. What an incredible dying art form that is.
Yep.
Hand-painted animation cells. Nothing looks like it. Nothing comes close. Tell us about this movie.
That was my first introduction to Studio Ghibli. Or Ghibli, either or.
Studio Gimli. It's made by the Lord of the Rings character.
Gimli. First one that I saw. And again, that sort of fairy tale element. It was hard to choose between this or Howl's Moving Castle. Because both are ones that I've watched over and over again. But yeah.
Do you watch it with subtitles or dubbed?
It depends. If I'm feeling lazy, I'll do subtitles.
Other way around, you mean?
Yes. You can tell it's past my bedtime. Yeah. I'm like,
I'll watch it in French because did I mention I can talk French?
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui, poo, poo. Yeah, man. There's not many movies like this one. But there are, because all the other Studio Ghibli movies, I recommend all of them except Grave of the Fireflies. Because much like that Will Smith movie, 7 Pounds.
Yep.
You never stop thinking about it once you've seen it. It is brutal.
But it's so, it's such a good movie.
So, during her family's move to the suburbs, a silent 10-year-old girl wanders into a world ruled by gods, witches, and spirits, and where humans are changed into beasts. Ah, what a movie.
Yeah, I'm waiting for America to come and ruin it too.
Surely not, because I reckon back in the day, I think Spielberg was a big part of championing Studio Ghibli in the West, as well as the likes of Akira and stuff.
Okay.
They helped it be released in thing, but kept their hands off creatively. I still think some of the casting in the English version is way off with Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
I know who that is. That does not belong here. How often do you revisit this one? Because I will say, these are the kind of movies you have to be in the mood to watch. You won't just stumble across it and watch it.
I feel like with Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, they are ones that I watch a lot. Some of their, Porco Rosso and some of those are more my, I've got to be in the mood for it. But Spirited Away is definitely one that's watched pretty frequently.
Awesome. Believe it or not, we're almost out of time.
Oh.
We've made it most of the way through your cry for help this evening.
Should I throw in a happy Disney movie?
Yeah, come on. Have you thought of any more of the honourable mentions that you couldn't remember earlier? So you said The Labyrinth was one.
Yeah, Labyrinth and Dark Crystal would definitely be in there.
Yep. Are you drawn to David Bowie's crutch every time?
Who isn't?
It's the law.
Tarantino, everything.
Yes, that was one of your choices on your list. What is your favourite Tarantino movie?
I'm torn between saying Kill Bill or Pulp Fiction. Because classic, but I feel like Kill Bill is it's starting to get almost like a nod to Asian cinema.
Yeah,
There's a lot of elements in there
it is.
where it's like, yeah, you can tell it's very heavily inspired.
I'm still yet to meet someone else that, like myself, The Hateful Eight is my favourite.
Okay. I was like, he's going to say Death Proof.
No, Kurt Russell rule. I'll watch anything with Kurt Russell. But to me, The Hateful Eight is exactly what he wanted it to be, because Quentin Tarantino wanted to make both a cowboy movie and he wanted to make a movie like one of my all-time favourite movies, The Thing. And I think he did it perfectly, because that's pretty much what you get. Inglourious Bastards has changed over the last 10 years. I think it was kind of no one's favourite, and everyone's realising that that's Christoph Waltz's first Western, as in Western released film. What a performance. No one else could do as good. Even Michael Fassbender, the scene in the bar where he holds up the wrong fingers, stuff like that. What do you think of the likes of Jackie Brown? Because that's probably most people's least favourite Tarantino film.
I wouldn't say it's like a least favourite. Oh.
What's your least favourite?
I was going to, as soon as I said that, I'm like, now I've got to pick a least favourite.
My least favourite comfortably would be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Discuss. It just wasn't a sum of its parts.
Okay.
It had so many amazing things going for it, including Kurt Russell. And it didn't land for me. Like, when you think of Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction, your brain kind of fogs over all the good bits in it.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, with Once Upon a Time, there was maybe like 3 good bits that stuck out in my memory.
Yeah.
And the rest of it all just fades away. But that's my...
that's fair.
I'm right and you're wrong, so before you say it, just letting you know. So. Awesome. So, what are you watching at the moment?
I'm actually watching Black Mirror because I'm super behind in every series ever.
Now, you said that you're also spending late nights looking at all my Instagram photos.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Yeah, I guess slowly getting through
I've
it.
noticed the occasional slippery finger like in the middle of the night, and then you quickly unlike it.
Yeah.
But I still see the notification.
Emphasis on the slippery finger.
Exactly. I was making the joke, just putting it out there, and you picked it up. Awesome. Well, believe it or not, we're pretty much out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It is time to roll out the red carpet. Let us know everything you have going on and where people can check it out for a final time.
All right. So on Instagram, I'm up there as Iron Forged Physiques. My website is ironforged.com.au, and if you're interested in training, I'm currently working out of Westlake's Good Life.
Sweet.
But also offer online programming for those that can't make it in.
Sweet. Awesome. What could you do for someone that looks as good as me? Nothing? Job done?
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
It's like painting an already painted room?
Yeah, I mean, we could look at introducing coriander and pineapple into your diet to,
But I have taste buds, unfortunately.
Taste.
Have very D. Thank you so much for joining us. This is DVG, no Crez this evening, so stick around for a great music mix. I will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. This is DVG.